galaxy had been at peace for centuries, a delicate web of alliances, empires, and treaties. Vast civilizations dominated the stars, their fleets stretching light years, their weapons capable of shattering planets. And yet, none of them had ever truly considered humanity. From the edges of the Sol system, a tiny blue planet orbited an unremarkable yellow star. To the galactic powers, Earth was a backwater. Humans were slow to leave their homeworld, technologically primitive and chaotic. They were messy, emotional, unpredictable. They were, in the eyes of the galaxy, harmless. Yet, that assumption would prove to be the galaxy's gravest mistake. The first contact occurred on a chilly dawn over the Pacific Ocean. A sleek, silver vessel, shaped like a twisted crescent, hovered silently above the waters. Its surface shimmered with unknown alloys that reflected the sunlight in impossible ways. A delegation of aliens emerged, the envoys of the Zalari Dominion, known throughout the outer sectors as patient, calculating, and merciless. Their leader, a towering figure cloaked in translucent robes, observed Earth's humans with detached curiosity. Primitive, it whispered in a voice that sounded like wine through metal pipes. They cannot comprehend us. We will study them, briefly. Aboard the Zalari ship, their communications officer projected a holographic map of the Sol system. Leader, these humans have no hyperspace capability beyond their own solar system. Their defenses are minimal. This world is negligible. Exactly, replied the leader, a slight tilt of their head. They may be unpredictable, but they are inconsequential. Observation only. And yet, as they approached humanity, they underestimated the most dangerous trait the humans possessed: adaptability. On the surface, humanity was unaware of the cosmic eyes upon them. In the bustling cities, people argued over trivial matters, oblivious to the ships hovering overhead. But there were those who had sensed it. Admiral Leora Vance, commander of the United Earth Space Command, had noticed anomalies in orbital sensors weeks before. "They're watching us," she said, her eyes sharp behind her glasses. "And they're not small craft. Something big. Something beyond anything we've catalogued." Her subordinate frowned. "Admiral, no species in known space would even consider Earth a threat. You're overestimating this." "I've never overestimated humanity," she replied. "And I never will. Prepare the defensive fleets. At minimum, we need to know what they're capable of before they make a move." That night, the Zalari vessel descended closer to Earth. Holographic tendrils extended from its hull, scanning every city, every satellite, every military installation. They detected humans adapting to their presence, making rapid calculations to respond to hypothetical threats. They noticed humans building communications arrays and mobilizing fleets in record time. And the Zalari, who had never feared anything in the galaxy, felt intrigue. The first encounter was tense. The Zalari leader emerged in a human port city, their presence causing panic, yet the humans did not flee. Soldiers raised rifles, civilians screamed. Leora Vance stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "You may be the most advanced species we've seen," she said, "but Earth will not be an experiment. Speak your purpose or leave." The Zalari leader tilted its head. "Purpose? You think this matter concerns you? You are insignificant." "Insignificant." Leora's hand rested lightly on the console of a hovering defense drone. "Let me remind you, every great civilization has underestimated the small and the clever. Every empire has a weakness, and humans, we find yours." The alien's eyes widened, or at least what could be considered eyes. "Such boldness, primitive audacity. Fascinating. Your species may yet interest us." Observation continues. But the humans were already moving. Under Admiral Vance's command, orbital arrays lit up. Ships moved in precise formations, testing the Zalari shields with calculated micromissiles. It wasn't destruction they sought, yet, but a message: humans could adapt faster than logic permitted. In orbit, Lieutenant Kai Moreno whispered over the comms. "Admiral, they're recalculating. Their shields, nothing we've ever measured. But they're adjusting, slower than us, yes, but they are trying." Vance's eyes narrowed. "Good. Let them try. Let them see what it means to face a species that refuses to panic." The first part of humanity's story was simple: underestimated, dismissed, but watching, learning, and adapting. The galaxy saw only their mistakes, but humans saw opportunity. In their laboratories, in their war rooms, they calculated strategies that no alien mind could predict, combining ingenuity with reckless courage. By the end of that day, the Zalari Dominion left Earth's orbit with a single message transmitted in perfect human translation. "You are curious. We will return." And humanity knew without question that the real test had begun. The galaxy had underestimated humans. And as the stars shone over the small blue planet, Earth's fleets assembled silently, their engines glowing like molten silver against the darkness. The humans had learned that intelligence alone was not enough to survive. Adaptability, cunning, and resilience would define them. And the galaxy would soon learn why the universe tested humanity once. It never tried again. The Zalari Dominion had retreated, but their departure was far from peaceful. Across the galaxy, news of humans reached the ears of other civilizations. The Avarian clans, the Cephalon Collective, and even the ancient Vorath Imperium. In every council chamber, diplomats debated in disbelief. Humans. The Vorath Chancellor's voice echoed through the crystalline halls of their capital world. A species barely capable of interplanetary travel dares to challenge the Zalari? They are unpredictable, admitted a Cephalon diplomat, their many limbs gesturing nervously. Our sensors cannot predict their adaptations. Their fleets, small yes but precise, efficient beyond their technological level. A minor threat, said an Avarian senator. Yet audacious. It is unsettling. Back on Earth, Admiral Leora Vance studied the star charts in the Grand Command Center aboard the orbital station Horizon. Her eyes traced the calculated approach vectors of the Zalari fleet, still hundreds of light years away but analyzing every transmission from Sol. They're assessing us, she said quietly. But assessment is not attack. Not yet. Her second-in-command, Commander Rian Torres, shook his head. Admiral, the galaxy doesn't leave opportunities like this alone. If word spreads, we could face an alliance before we can even prepare. Vance's lips curved into a faint smile. Then we prepare. Not just for them, but for anyone who thinks Earth is a sandbox. We'll show them that humans don't just survive, they dominate when cornered. The first human expedition into the wider galaxy was approved. Using experimental hyperdrive technology, patched together with ingenuity and desperation, the Earth fleet departed the Sol system, heading toward the outer rim to gather intelligence and prepare defensive alliances. The journey was tense. Sailors whispered of the Zalari, of alien fleets that could obliterate entire worlds, but Vance's calm authority kept fear at bay. On board the flagship Liberty, Lieutenant Kai Moreno monitored every incoming signal. Admiral, sensors picking up multiple signatures approaching the human convoy. 3 distinct species. All armed. All scanning. Vance leaned forward. Deploy diplomatic arrays. Prepare a formal transmission. Let them think they can negotiate. Meanwhile, covertly map their fleet formations and weaknesses. Humanity survives on 2 things, adaptability and cunning. Let's remind them. The first meeting took place above a neutral planet, Lyris Prime, a world of swirling green oceans and jagged silver mountains. The alien delegations emerged in their massive, imposing vessels. The Avarian ships were spiky, predatory like frozen storms. The Cephalon ships were smooth and liquid, almost organic. The Vorath craft shimmered with crystalline energy, refracting light in impossible angles. Yet, as the human fleet approached, none of the alien leaders expected what came next. Admiral Vance transmitted a message in the lingua galactica, her voice calm, resonant, but firm. You have come to assess, perhaps to intimidate. Know this, humans do not surrender to fear. We do not negotiate from weakness. We adapt. And we will endure. Speak your purpose or leave this system. There was a pause, the void between worlds thick with tension. The Avarian senator's voice crackled through the calm. Impertinent species, you overstep your bounds. Do you understand the forces you face? Vance's reply was sharp. We understand them enough to know that survival is a choice, and humans never choose defeat. The standoff escalated. The alien fleets deployed advanced scanning drones, probing the human ships. They expected to find flawed, disorganized systems, but instead they found precision. Every ship in the human fleet moved with synchronized timing, executing maneuvers that defied alien tactical norms. Micromissiles struck decoy arrays, energy shields fluctuated dynamically, and command networks rerouted faster than any alien AI could anticipate. The aliens were stunned. They are learning. At speed, one whispered. Then the humans made their first move. Without initiating full combat, human ships executed a feint, small craft seemingly fleeing toward the neutral planet, drawing the aliens closer. The aliens advanced, believing the humans were weak. But at the last moment, the human fleet pivoted, striking key points in alien shields, using precise EMP bursts and gravitational manipulations that no one thought possible from such a young species. The result was chaos. Avarian ships collided in panic, Cephalon vessels struggled to maintain cohesion, and Vorath sensors scrambled under human interference. In less than an hour, humans had demonstrated strategic mastery far beyond their supposed capabilities. In the aftermath, Vance's voice broadcast across the void. This is not the end, and it is not aggression. It is a warning: humans survive, humans adapt, humans overcome. Test us at your peril. The alien leaders retreated, their pride wounded. They had underestimated humans, but now, every species that witnessed the encounter understood that Earth was no ordinary world. It was a crucible of cunning, a forge of unpredictability, and most dangerously, it had no fear of extinction. Back on Liberty, Moreno turned to Vance. "Admiral, they will remember this. The galaxy will remember this." She nodded, her eyes scanning the starfield beyond the viewport. "Good. Let them remember. Humanity is not just a species. We are a lesson. And we've only just begun." As the human fleet returned to Sol, the universe shifted. Alliances formed in whispers. Political councils debated emergency summits. Warships from distant sectors altered their courses to monitor Earth. And in the shadows, the Zalari Dominion recalculated, their cold logic shaken by a species they had deemed primitive. In the quiet of her quarters, Vance reflected on the events. The galaxy believed they were powerful, inevitable, untouchable. But humans had something no algorithm could predict: intuition, courage, and an unbreakable will. The first encounter was over, but the war for recognition, respect, and survival across the stars was only beginning. Above Earth, the blue planet shone like a beacon, small but defiant. The humans had made their mark. They had survived the first trial. And the galaxy was beginning to whisper a single truth: humanity is not to be underestimated. The galaxy had taken notice. What had once been whispers and incredulous speculation had become urgent messages across star systems. Humans were no longer insignificant. They were an anomaly, a threat, a puzzle that no intelligence could fully solve. In the Vorath Imperium's council chambers, the Chancellor's crystalline form pulsed with a pale light. Their tactics are unprecedented. They are not merely reacting, they are predicting, adapting. How can such a primitive species outmaneuver centuries-old fleets? One of the Vorath general's shards glimmered nervously. It is as if they think in ways no algorithm can anticipate. Their decisions are illogical, yet effective. Illogical, yes, the Chancellor replied. But deadly. Send envoys to the Avarian and Cephalon sectors. Suggest a coalition. Humanity must be contained before it grows too powerful. Meanwhile, back in the Sol system, Admiral Leora Vance convened a council of Earth's brightest minds aboard the Horizon. Scientists, tacticians, and diplomats gathered around the glowing 3D holographic map of the galaxy. "The galaxy has taken notice of Earth," she said calmly, her eyes scanning the room. "And not all of them will be friendly. Our priority is survival, but survival alone is not enough. We must demonstrate that humanity is not just adaptable, we are a force they cannot ignore or control." Dr. Alara Chin, a theoretical physicist, raised a concern. "Admiral, our hyperdrive technology is still experimental. Prolonged engagement in deep space could be catastrophic." Vance nodded. "Then we ensure our first strike is decisive. Not just for survival, but to reshape how the galaxy perceives humans." The first major battle was not on Earth, but in the Twi'lek's expanse, a sector of uncharted stars and gas clouds. The human fleet, smaller in number but unmatched in coordination, approached a coalition force composed of Avarian, Cephalon, and Vorath ships. Their formation was tight, precise, almost elegant, a choreography that no alien mind had predicted. Captain Rian Torres, commanding the cruiser Defiance, spoke over comms. "All units, maintain formation Delta 9. Wait for my signal. This is not a charge. It is a lesson." In orbit above a jagged gas giant, the coalition advanced. They had numbers, firepower, and centuries of strategy behind them. And yet, as the first human drones unleashed a barrage of targeted EMP bursts, alien sensors began to falter. Ships that had been considered indestructible faltered, shields flickering unpredictably. This cannot be," hissed the Cephalon commander, his limbs trembling over the control panels. "Their precision, it is too perfect." Vance's voice cut through the chaos. "Humans don't win by numbers. We win by thinking differently. Focus. Adapt. Execute." Human fighters weaved through asteroid fields with breathtaking speed, drawing the coalition's attention while stealth frigates struck from impossible angles, exploiting gravitational anomalies. Every maneuver was a trap, every action a calculated risk. The coalition's fleets, confident and overextended, began to fracture under pressure. In the midst of battle, Lieutenant Kai Moreno piloted a reconnaissance ship through the thick of the fight, sending data back to the fleet in real time. Admiral, they're reorganizing faster than predicted. Their tactics are chaotic yet effective. It's like they're improvising faster than our simulations can compute. Vance's response was simple but deadly: good. Let them see what chaos looks like when it has purpose. The coalition commander, desperate to regain control, attempted a direct assault on the human flagship. But Vance anticipated the move, diverting energy to shields, initiating countermeasures, and unleashing a network of autonomous drones that disabled key alien systems. In moments, the coalition flagship was crippled. Then came the unthinkable twist. An unexpected Zalari ship emerged from hyperspace, not to attack but to observe. The Zalari had returned, curious and cautious, their calculations disrupted by humanity's unexpected efficiency. Interesting, their leader murmured, voice like grinding metal. This species, they do not follow logic. They do not fear. And yet, they dominate when underestimated. The Zalari watched as humans executed one final, decisive maneuver. The combined alien forces, shaken and fractured, were forced to retreat. The humans did not pursue. Vance understood that victory was not just about destruction but about sending a message. This is humanity, she said over the fleet-wide comm. We fight when necessary, adapt when challenged, and survive against impossible odds. Learn from this. Or be reminded of it the hard way. As the dust settled, the galaxy's perception of Earth changed irrevocably. Humans were no longer a curiosity, they were a threat. A species that could not be controlled, predicted, or dismissed. Every empire, every coalition, every alien strategist began to reconsider their assumptions. Back on Earth, celebrations were tempered by awareness. The galaxy had now set its sights on humanity. The stakes had never been higher, and the next encounter promised to be far deadlier. Yet, in the quiet moments, Vance allowed herself a rare smile. They still don't understand us, she murmured to Moreno. And they never will. Because humans, we don't just fight. We learn. We adapt. We endure. And the universe will remember that. Above them, the stars stretched infinitely. But for the first time, humanity shone as more than a small blue dot. It was a signal, a warning, and a promise. The first real battle had been won, but the war for the galaxy's respect and survival was only beginning. In the shadows, the alien empires recalculated. Alliances were formed in secret, fleets mobilized, and spies infiltrated systems to learn humanity's next move. But one truth became undeniable. Every civilization that underestimated humans had already begun to pay the price. And humanity had only just begun its ascent. The galaxy was trembling. Whispers of humanity's victories across the Twi'lek's expanse had spread like wildfire. No empire, no council, no fleet dared dismiss the small blue planet. Yet fear alone would not prevent war. Diplomacy, espionage, and cunning became the tools of survival, and humanity was about to demonstrate all three with ruthless precision. Admiral Leora Vance convened her council aboard the Horizon. Holograms of alien fleets, planetary systems, and hyperspace routes flickered in three-dimensional projection. Every empire with eyes on Earth was represented here, not in person but in simulation. We've survived the first test, Vance said, her voice steady. Now we prepare for the second. The galaxy is watching, waiting for humans to make a mistake. We will not give them one. Dr. Alara Chin stepped forward, her fingers dancing over the interface. Admiral, we have a proposal. Using modified hyperdrive patterns and cloaking technology, we could infiltrate multiple alien systems simultaneously. Intelligence gathering, sabotage, preemptive strikes. We could destabilize hostile fleets before they even know we're in range. Vance's eyes gleamed. You mean fight the war in shadows? I like it. Moreno, assembled the tactical teams. We move at dawn. The first target was the Vorath Imperium's forward outpost, a planet rich in crystalline energy, the foundation of their fleet's power. Using stealth frigates, humans slipped past detection arrays and deployed microdrones that interfaced with the Vorath energy cores. Within hours, entire communications networks were subtly rerouted. Orders from the Vorath command became delayed, garbled, and contradictory. On the bridge of the Vorath flagship, panic rippled through the crystalline council. Our systems, they are malfunctioning, one shard shouted, light flickering wildly. How can this be? A human operative's voice echoed through encrypted channels, untraceable. "You underestimated the humans. We do not follow your rules." Meanwhile, on Lyris Prime, the Avarian clans held an emergency council. "The humans are cunning," a senator hissed. "They do not strike openly, yet they destabilize entire fleets. We must coordinate with the Zalari Dominion immediately." The Zalari observed silently, their leader aboard the crescent-shaped flagship. "Intriguing," it murmured, its metallic voice vibrating with thought. "They are not only unpredictable, they are deliberate. They shape chaos into a weapon." Earth's diplomacy was equally calculated. While espionage and sabotage weakened the galaxy's adversaries, humans reached out with emissaries, offering trade, scientific exchange, and alliances. But every offer carried layers of strategy, encoded signals, hidden contingencies, and subtle psychological manipulation. No alien could trust them entirely, yet all were compelled to engage. On the orbital station horizon, Vance addressed the fleet. "Every move we make is observed. Every decision has consequences. But humans thrive where others panic. Remember, we do not merely react. We create opportunities. We turn disadvantage into advantage. And we do so with precision." The next engagement tested this philosophy. A combined Avarian Cephalon fleet attempted a blockade near Sol, intending to intimidate and contain Earth. Moreno piloted a reconnaissance wing, mapping weak points in the enemy formation. "Admiral, the left flank is overextended, and their shield harmonics are vulnerable to phase disruption." "Good," Vance replied. "Prepare a tactical insertion. Initiate Phase 1, disruption. Phase 2, diversion. Phase 3, decisive strike. Timing is everything. Execute flawlessly." As the humans launched their maneuver, alien commanders initially believed it to be a standard engagement. Micromissiles darted like fireflies, stealth frigates slipped unseen through gaps, and drones scrambled the enemy sensor arrays. When the main human fleet emerged, the aliens were caught entirely off guard. Their formation collapsed under precision strikes, energy beams weaving in patterns no conventional fleet would expect. A Vorith Council shard whispered, trembling, "This is impossible. They are everywhere at once, yet nowhere. Their minds, they operate differently. Faster, smarter." In the midst of battle, Admiral Vance transmitted a message across the blockade, her voice calm yet commanding. "You sought to intimidate Earth. We adapted. You sought to contain us. We innovated. This is your only warning. Humans do not surrender, humans do not yield, and humans do not fight on your terms. We fight on ours. And we will win." By the time the Avarian Cephalon fleets retreated, human losses were minimal. They had struck fear without risking annihilation. Every maneuver demonstrated strategy, ingenuity, and above all, a ruthless understanding of opportunity. Yet, it was not just military genius that set humanity apart. Across the galaxy, alien spies reported the human population's resilience. Even under threats, they produced new technologies, expanded research, and adapted social structures for survival and innovation at breathtaking speed. One Cephalon envoy admitted privately, "They think differently. They endure differently. They rise, like a tide no dam can hold back." The Zalari leader observed quietly from a distant system. "This species, they are a paradox. Fragile yet indestructible. Emotional yet precise. They will reshape the galaxy without even intending to." Back on Earth, Admiral Vance walked through the streets of New York, now a hub of both military command and cultural life. People spoke of the fleet's victories not with fear but with pride. Humanity was not just surviving, it was ascending. Vance paused at the window looking at the stars. "The galaxy believes it can contain us. It believes it can predict us. It is wrong. Every empire, every fleet, every council will learn, eventually. Humans are not merely part of the universe. We are the force it underestimated at its own peril." The shadows across the stars had been tested. And humanity had turned them into a battlefield of opportunity. But the galaxy's response was still brewing, and the next confrontation promised even more danger, complexity, and revelation. One truth remained unchallenged. Wherever humans appeared, the rules of engagement changed. The galaxy had learned that humans were unlike any species it had ever encountered. And the universe would never underestimate them again. The galaxy was no longer whispering about humans. It was screaming. Every empire that had once considered Earth a curiosity now prepared for the unthinkable. War against a species that defied logic, expectation, and strategy. Admiral Leora Vance stood aboard the horizon, watching the deployment of the largest human fleet ever assembled. Thousands of ships, from agile fighters to massive dreadnoughts, gleamed under Earth's sun. Each vessel carried not only weapons but purpose, precision, and the unyielding resolve of a species that refused to lose. Today, Vance said to her officers, we do not merely fight for survival. We fight to prove that humanity cannot be ignored. Every move counts. Every decision is a message. And we will send one they will never forget. The coalition against Earth had grown into an armada of unprecedented scale. Avarian predators, Cephalon fleets, Vorath dreadnoughts, and even Zalari observers had gathered at the edge of the Typhon Rift, a nebula of swirling violet gases and jagged asteroids. Their plan was simple: crush Earth before it could expand further into galactic affairs. Lieutenant Kai Moreno's eyes scanned the holographic map of enemy positions. Admiral, their formation is massive, too many ships for a direct engagement. They anticipate a frontal assault. But their coordination is rigid. We can exploit that. Vance nodded. Good. Initiate Operation Phoenix. Phase 1, Deception. The human fleet split into seemingly chaotic clusters, zigzagging unpredictably through the nebula. Decoy drones created phantom signatures, drawing enemy fire into dense asteroid fields. Energy beams ricocheted unpredictably, scattering across metallic debris, leaving the aliens confused and exposed. An Avarian commander hissed over comms. They move, erratically. Impossible patterns. Their formation breaks apart yet reforms as if guided by instinct. Phase 2 began. Cloaked frigates, invisible to alien sensors, struck at command nodes, disabling shields and communications on key vessels. Microfleets launched precision EMP attacks, creating chain reactions that disabled entire sections of the enemy armada. Ships that were thought invincible were reduced to drifting wreckage. This is insane, a Cephalon admiral whispered. Their tactics, they are not just improvising, they are rewriting the rules of warfare in real time. At the heart of the battle, Vance piloted the flagship Horizon's Edge, coordinating multiple strike teams while maintaining a strategic overview. Her voice, calm and commanding, cut through the comms. Deploy interceptor squadrons along Vector Delta 7. Use gravitational anomalies to collapse enemy formations. Focus fire on Vorath dreadnoughts, priority target, shields and warp cores. Moreno, you have the left flank. Moreno's response was immediate. Acknowledged, Admiral. Flank engaged. Initiating coordinated maneuvers. The Zalari, observing from afar, finally spoke through their translation array, their voice low and metallic. This species is beyond prediction. Their courage, their cunning, it cannot be quantified. Fascinating. Dangerous. Amidst the chaos, small human squads executed daring maneuvers. Boarding pods attached to enemy vessels, disabling power cores from within. Engineers and tacticians worked in perfect synchrony, outthinking alien AI at every turn. Every loss on the human side was calculated, every victory amplified. On the battlefield, a Vorath Shard commander shouted orders, their crystalline body flickering. We must regroup. They are everywhere. Impossible. Retreat. But humanity did not merely fight. They manipulated perception. Decoy fleets, holographic signals, and false retreats lured the coalition into traps. Entire squadrons of alien ships collided or were caught in microsingularities generated by experimental human gravitic weapons. By nightfall, the enemy armada was shattered. Yet victory came at a cost. Human casualties were real, and the horizon itself had taken significant damage. Vance stood on the bridge, surveying the battlefield. Smoke rose from damaged ships, and the lights of drifting wreckage reflected against the stars. Moreno approached, his expression tense. Admiral, we've won the battle, but the war is far from over. Every empire now knows we exist. They will come back stronger. Vance's eyes were unwavering. Let them come. They believe humans are predictable, fragile, limited. We've proven them wrong. We adapt. We endure. And when the galaxy tests us again, it will learn why the universe tested humanity once, and never tried again. Across Earth, the planet itself celebrated. But the true victory was not in triumph alone, it was in revelation. The galaxy had witnessed a species that fought not by brute force alone, but with strategy, cunning, and the unbreakable spirit that only humanity possessed. Meanwhile, in the shadows of distant systems, alien leaders convened. The Avarian senator gritted his teeth. We cannot underestimate them. They are evolution in motion. The Cephalon diplomat added, Their unpredictability is their weapon. Conventional tactics fail. Every engagement costs us more than we anticipate. And the Zalari, ever patient, recorded everything silently. Their conclusion was chilling. The humans are not merely surviving. They are ascending. They will reshape the galaxy. Eventually, all will recognize their supremacy. Back aboard Horizon's Edge, Vance gazed out at the stars, her mind both calculating and reflective. They think this is war. It's a lesson. The galaxy underestimates humans because it cannot see the depth of our resilience. And that is our advantage. Humanity had not only survived the first full-scale interstellar war, they had dominated it. Every empire, every fleet, every alien mind had been forced to acknowledge one undeniable truth. Humans were apex strategists, fearless and utterly unstoppable when cornered. The stars had become their battlefield, and humanity had shown the galaxy exactly why it would never be underestimated again. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the center of that transformation. Once dismissed as a fragile, chaotic species, humans now commanded respect, fear and cautious admiration. Every empire, every fleet, every alien mind had learned to account for Earth. But this was not enough for humanity. Survival had been the first step. Domination without oppression was the next. Admiral Leora Vance convened the Grand Council aboard the Horizon, the massive orbital command station orbiting Mars. The holographic map of the galaxy shimmered with human-controlled zones, observation posts and fleet positions. For the first time the view was not defensive, it was proactive. We've survived. We've fought. We've proven that humans cannot be underestimated, Vance said, her voice calm but resonant, echoing across the council chamber. Now we take control of the narrative. Diplomacy, technology, and strategy will define the galaxy's future. And humanity will shape it. Dr. Alara Chen unveiled the latest technological advancement. The Aegis Network, a hyper-intelligent AI system that could coordinate human fleets in real time, predict enemy movements, and optimize resource allocation across entire star systems. This system, she explained, allows humanity to operate at speeds the galaxy cannot even perceive. Decisions that would take alien councils weeks, we can execute in minutes with perfect accuracy. Vance nodded. Good. Combine it with the Orion-class dreadnoughts and the stealth frigates. Let every species understand the consequences of underestimating humans. Humanity's reach extended rapidly. Observation and infiltration of alien systems became routine, but now they were paired with targeted diplomacy. Humans brokered trade agreements that others could not refuse, offered medical and energy technologies in exchange for intelligence, and subtly manipulated alliances to keep potential threats divided. In the Avarian sector, the Senate convened, whispering fearfully about the humans. They are everywhere, a senator hissed. Our fleets, our spies, nothing can predict their next move. They manipulate our own politics against us. In Vorath space, similar councils debated. We underestimated them, a Shard commander admitted, shards trembling with uncertainty. We cannot match their adaptability. We cannot anticipate their actions. They are evolution incarnate. The Zalari Dominion, ever patient, observed from the void. Their leader recorded every maneuver, noting human ingenuity with a mixture of fascination and caution. They are not merely survivors, it murmured, they are architects of strategy. Every engagement, every alliance, every innovation is a calculated step toward dominance. Meanwhile, the human fleets moved silently through the Typhon Rift and beyond, establishing orbital stations, observation posts and rapid response outposts. Using the Aegis network, Admiral Vance coordinated operations across multiple star systems simultaneously. Every fleet movement was precise, every deployment anticipatory, every strike devastating. It was not just military power that marked humanity's ascendancy. On newly colonized planets, humans built thriving colonies, blending advanced technology with environmental stewardship. Alien observers were astounded at how rapidly humans adapted planets for habitation, integrating energy systems, agriculture, and defense networks in months rather than years. Yet humans did not act as conquerors. They were a force that inspired, intimidated, and commanded respect without oppression. Messages sent to alien councils carried both warning and invitation. Humanity is rising. Those who align with reason and cooperation will prosper. Those who resist will witness the consequences of underestimating a species that never yields. But not all responded to diplomacy. The Cephalon Collective, rigid and calculating, launched a sudden strike at the newly established human station near the Vorith frontier. It was a test, an attempt to measure human reaction. Vance anticipated it. Using the Aegis network, the human fleet orchestrated a counter-ambush. Stealth frigates emerged from warp shadows, drones sabotaged enemy engines, and human pilots executed maneuvers that the Cephalon had never considered. By the time the Cephalon fleet realized their error, several vessels had been captured or destroyed. Across the galaxy, news of the victory spread. Alien species were forced to revise their perception of humanity once again. Humans were no longer a chaotic, primitive species. They were a force of unmatched cunning, resilience, and adaptability. In the quiet of her quarters aboard Horizon, Vance reflected on the transformation. "The galaxy sees us now," she said to Moreno, who stood silently beside her. "We've turned fear into respect, chaos into precision, and survival into dominance. But we are not done. We are just beginning to define what humanity means in the stars." Moreno's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "The galaxy will remember this. Every empire, every fleet, every mind that doubted us will remember who we are." Vance smiled faintly. "Not just remember. They will understand. Humans are not just survivors, not just warriors. We are architects of the impossible. And the universe will never test us again." Above Earth, stars stretched infinitely, but humanity had begun to stretch further, claiming the void not through fear alone, but through ingenuity, strategy, and a relentless drive to master the galaxy. The stage was set for the final act. Every empire had learned the hard truth: humanity could not be contained. And when the ultimate confrontation came, it would not be a test, it would be a reckoning. The galaxy trembled on the edge of war. Every empire that had once underestimated Earth now rallied against it, forming the largest coalition ever seen. The Avarian predators, the Vorith dreadnoughts, the Cephalon fleets, and the ever-watchful Zalari Dominion observing from the shadows. They called it the final convergence, a coordinated strike intended to crush humanity before it could claim more power. But the humans were ready. Admiral Leora Vance stood on the bridge of the flagship Horizon's edge, her eyes scanning the holographic map of the approaching armada. Every fleet, every maneuver, every projected trajectory had been calculated. The Aegis network hummed beneath her feet, coordinating fleets light years apart, predicting alien movements and optimizing strike patterns in real time. "This is it," Vance said softly. "The galaxy believes this will be the end of us. Let's prove that it is the beginning of our supremacy." Lieutenant Kai Moreno, at the tactical console, gestured to the massive holographic display. "Admiral, they've formed a perfect blockade across the Epsilon expanse. If we attempt a direct engagement, they'll crush us in hours. But their formation, it's rigid. We can exploit that." Vance's eyes glimmered. "Prepare Operation Crucible. Phase 1, Deception. Phase 2, Disruption. Phase 3, Decisive Strike. Every move calculated, every risk intentional. Humanity does not fight blindly, we fight with precision." The human fleet split into multiple formations, each appearing chaotic and uncoordinated. Decoy drones and holographic projections created phantom fleets, confusing the coalition. Alien sensors lit up with false signals, leading them to miscalculate every advance and retreat. Avarian commanders barked orders in panic. "They are everywhere. How can they be in multiple places at once?" Vance's voice echoed across the comms, calm and commanding. "They are not everywhere, but everywhere they need to be. Focus on your objectives. Adapt, survive, endure." Phase 2 began. Cloaked frigates infiltrated the coalition's inner lines, deploying gravitic disruptors and microsingularities that tore through the enemy's navigation systems. Cephalon drones were hacked mid-flight, turning against their own fleet. Vorith energy cores overloaded, their shields flickering as humans used gravitational anomalies as weapons. Moreno's fingers danced across the console. "They're trying to regroup, but every maneuver we predicted. The Aegis network is adapting faster than they can think." Then came the most audacious move. A fleet of human dreadnoughts launched from hidden warp corridors, emerging behind the coalition's main forces. It was a simultaneous attack from every conceivable angle, coordinated with timing so precise that alien fleets were caught entirely off guard. On the battlefield, chaos reigned. Ships collided, shields overloaded, and energy beams crisscrossed the void. Yet amidst the violence, humanity executed control unlike any other species could comprehend. Every sacrifice was strategic, every maneuver intentional. Losses were minimal, impact maximal. The Zalari, observing from a distance, finally transmitted a message in perfect human translation. You are beyond prediction. We underestimated your species. You do not follow logic. You dominate it. Fascinating. Terrifying. Vance's reply was simple, resolute, and immortal. The universe tested humanity once. It never tried again. In a daring final strike, the humans targeted the Coalition's command nexus. Aboard the flagship Defiance, Moreno led the boarding operation. Human operatives disabled key systems, broadcasting signals of surrender from captured ships. The Coalition, disoriented and leaderless, could no longer maintain cohesion. One by one, fleets retreated or surrendered. On the bridge of Horizon's edge, Vance watched the final collapse of the Coalition. Stars reflected off the wreckage and debris, but humanity had endured. The galaxy had thrown its might at Earth, and the humans had not just survived, they had reshaped the balance of power entirely. Messages were transmitted to every empire. Humanity does not fight for conquest alone. We fight to endure, to adapt, and to rise. Those who underestimated us have learned why the universe tested humanity once, and never tried again. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations recorded a new truth. Humans were apex strategists, unparalleled innovators, and fearless warriors. No species could match their resilience, ingenuity, or adaptability. And above all, humans had demonstrated a principle no calculation could predict. Courage combined with intelligence could topple even the mightiest empires. Back on Earth, celebrations were tempered with reflection. The planet itself, glowing blue against the void, had become a symbol not of war, but of resilience and ingenuity. Humanity had won the ultimate test. Vance stood on the observation deck of the Horizon, looking out at the stars. Moreno joined her quietly. "Admiral, we've done it. The galaxy finally understands." Vance smiled, eyes glimmering with pride and resolve. "Not just understands, Moreno. They fear what they cannot predict. And that is our greatest strength. Humanity is not just a species. We are a force. And the universe will never underestimate us again." The stars stretched infinitely before them, but humanity had claimed its place among them. The galaxy had learned at tremendous cost that humans were extraordinary, adaptable, cunning, relentless, and supremely capable. From the edges of a small blue planet to the heart of interstellar politics and warfare, humanity had risen. And in that triumph, the universe learned an enduring lesson. Intelligence alone could be outmaneuvered, technology alone could be countered, but the spirit of humanity, undaunted, relentless, and fearless, was unmatched. Humanity had endured every test, faced every threat, and conquered not through sheer force, but through strategy, ingenuity, and unwavering resolve. The stars would remember Earth. The galaxy would remember humanity. And the universe would never test them again.